Do 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 do. Okay. I think I think we should be live. Let's double check. Let's double check. Always got to check the stream, you know? Hey, it looks good. Oh, hey. Ashley's in here. Raylan's in here. Look, I could see you but delayed. Well, I can't see you. I can see me. That's actually pretty good latency. Like it's not like crazy delayed. It's just a touch. Hold on, let's frame it up. Let's frame it. Ooh, nice framing. Nice framing. Oh my gosh, what's up? What's up, y'all? Top chat. Live chat. There it is. Why is it not showing the whole oh, it's low. What is it? There you go. There you go. Hey, what's up, Drew? What's up, Drew? Okay, so listen. This is I'm gonna do a little preface. A little preface here. Hold on, let me open this and get the PowerPoint ready. I'm so the great thing about this is the PowerPoint. Well, I mean, obviously the content too, but I'm very excited about the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is what's going to be great. Let me put my earbuds in so I can hear if we need it. We need to talk about it. My arm. Yeah, I don't know why this corner can be yellow sometimes. It's something about the way that the lens is on here reflecting the light. Because if I change the light, it goes away. So it's not like the camera's broken. It's just something about the way that the reflection is, which is weird. Yes, there is definitely a weird light there, Raylan. Okay, let me get this going. Presentation mode, presenter mode. Okay, display, swap, and then hide presenter view. Okay, great. The PowerPoint is what's up. What's up? Audio looks good. Desktop audio looks good. Just about to say who touched my screen with a magnet, even though I'm on my cell phone. It's not the way this works. Man, I remember one time my sister, back when we were growing up, took a magnet and rubbed it across the whole screen. It was like of our cathode ray tube, right? Isn't that what it was? It was a CRT TV cathode, like the glass TV one. And she rubbed a magnet all over. It was like, look, mom, it's a rainbow. And she was so pumped about it. And she did not know that she just ruined the whole TV. I think we were able to get it to go away after a while. It just like, but yeah, you can see it's a little bit. You see how it's the reflection. If I do that, it goes away. So it's something about because the light is there. So if I do that, it's okay. We'll live. My brother did that. That's literally the only time I remember him getting in trouble. Wow. Only time your brother got in trouble? Must be nice. Must have been miserable for you. Okay, little preface here. I've got the PowerPoint up. We've got the presentation going. So if you are joining us on YouTube or wherever, this is oh, hey, Rena's there too. Wait, as an Asian, I can tell you most POC are never on time. I've heard this. I've heard this. Yes, I have heard that. I think, I used to be very much on time, but I think with the combination of ADHD stuff and because I'm a therapist, nobody actually makes it to their appointment on time. They're always just a couple minutes late. There are a few who show up early and show up on time, but the majority show up just right on time or a minute or two late. So I don't stress about it. And therapy sessions are typically 50 minutes anyway. So I just schedule it for like we start at around 5 after and we end 5 before, right? So there's your 50 minutes. And that's how we do it. That way if people are, running a little bit late, it's fine. And so I guess I've just gotten into that habit. So now I do that all the time, which is a bummer for things where I need to be on time because I'm used to being 5-10 minutes late just because that's, I'm just expecting that. That's just become a habit. Sorry. I also got to tell you, I've missed you guys. Okay. I'm really excited to be here. I've missed you guys. I got so much to catch you up on. I did a brain mapping thing the other day where they like did this. They put this cap on my head and they hooked up electrodes to it. And it was like they did it for free as like part of like advertising this service that they do. And so they hooked me up, they put me on there, right? And then they gave me a readout in my brain, and they were like, you very much confirming my suspicions about ADHD. I've never been formally diagnosed, but they're like, you struggle with impulsivity, bad. Your memory is awful. You you struggle with like organizing your thoughts, which I thought was funny because I speak and present things for a living. And they're like, well, the memory was bad, and your visual processing is really poor, right? Jesse, like, fuck them commercials at the beginning of the movie. Yeah, what do we need that for? I'm paying to be at the movie. Don't show me commercials. I mean, the commercials are fine. Can confirm. Yeah, no, I write it down. I have to write it down. The memory thing is, I've come to accept this about myself. They also said, based on this brain scan, that I can really struggle with being very moody and sad. Not like moody as in like angsty, but like I'm very sad. I'm very anxious, and I tend to be very hard on myself. They could actually tell that based on the different waves inside of my brain. So it was very affirming, very affirming. Okay. I've monologued long enough. Look, we're already 13 minutes past. This is going to be a presentation. Welcome everyone on YouTube who is joining us, but this is going to be a presentation just for the level 3 subscribers through lionmentalhealth.com. This is a special way for those who support the channel, for those who are constantly helping me create content and supporting this kind of mission that we have to spread awareness about mental health and the unconscious mind. This is a thank you to them. And so they get to participate live throughout this class. This class will be recorded, which is actually great that I said that because I did not start the recording. So we will start the recording now. But this recording will be made available online afterwards. But all the subscribers get it for free, and they get to participate in the live class. Everybody else has to either be a subscriber at a lower level or purchase it later. So thank you all for supporting the mission, supporting the dream, supporting my family and me. It means the world. Thank you. I hope this is a way to brighten your day, for us to hang out, and for some encouragement. So I hope you're having a great week. We're gonna get right into it. This is crash course is kind of an overused term, but so I'm not going to use it. This is the most important details about getting started in interpreting your own dreams. I feel like it's a course that I haven't really done formally. This may be a bit of review information for things that you've heard about me say before, for things that you've heard me say on the channel before, but we're going to go through it in a very systematic and very organized way so you can have all the details. We can clarify any of those basic questions that you might have. And they may be complex questions, but they're questions about the basics of dream interpretation, of getting started in this field. And it's really a foundational and fundamental course that I've been meaning to make, and I'm very excited that I've gone through very many hours to put this together and to make it happen and put it in a presentable format that I think is very digestible and I think will be very helpful. It's a little bit of a shorter presentation than maybe I normally do. I usually lecture for a full hour. This is intended to be 30, maybe 45 minutes. Really 40 minutes would be great. So we're gonna get through this. I'll stop at the end of each slide to answer questions. And I really love the questions. Don't feel any pressure to ask them, but I love the questions. They make me happy. So let me check here. Oh, but all that to say, I will only be responding to the comments in the super secret level 3 chat inside of the Discord server. So YouTube, you get to watch it. That's fine because I'm streaming it there, and it's an easy way with high quality because YouTube's such a great streaming service. But I'm only going to be looking at the chat inside of inside of Discord. So for those watching and those participating, Discord's where you can leave all the comments. I'll be looking at them. Let's see. Raylan says, can confirm the memory thing. Thank you. I do know. But you didn't start till 7 after. Well, it was still within the 10-minute window. Oh my God. I was brought up being 10 minutes early equals late. I stress if I am on time, or heaven bid I am actually late because I will break down. That's too much stress. I'm excited for the presentation, but I have to work at 8. Okay, well, we'll be done. We'll be done by 8. Don't worry. We'll be done by 8. At least the questions won't be filtered by some other person like other times. Who's filtering the questions? Y'all got some beef, dude. Y'all got some beef. Okay, let's get into it. Transition. Okay, check this out. Oh, the lights in my room match the lights in the presentation slideshow. I did this. I'm so proud of myself. I've gotten so good at PowerPoint. I've really put in a lot of effort. Look, see the lights? They match the presentation. Ah, quality. I'm here for you guys. Welcome to this presentation on how to interpret dreams, the things that I think are the most crucial, the most important for you to understand to get started in this field. It's a very short course, 30 to 45 minutes. I mean, that's short for me, but these are the things you absolutely need to know to get started and to start interpreting your own dreams and your friends' dreams right away. So let's get into it. Dream Meanings by Jesse Lyon. That's so pretty. It's so pretty. The PowerPoint's good. Hold on. Let me fix this a little bit because I am a little bit large. Let's make that a little bit smaller. That's nice. That is very nice. There we go. So on today's agenda, right, we're going to be talking about 4 basic topics, right? The psyche, 2 levels, 4 types, and techniques. So there's two levels to dream interpretation. There's 4 types of dreams, and there are a couple techniques that I think are the most important for you to understand and to get started in interpreting dreams. So let's get on it. Thank you for the accolades, for the support, for the love in my improvements, my personal journey of self-development and growth in PowerPoint. Thank you. One time. Oh yeah, you're right, Raylan. That one person was not reading all the comments. Step 1, if you don't know they're unconscious, stick with Jungian. Yes, and we'll get to a little bit of Jungian here too. Actually, let me open up something very quick. Because I've got a couple notes that I want to read from actually to make sure I remember everything that I want to tell you. So let's do this real quick. There you go. Presentations. There you go. All right, the second one. Cool. All right, let's get into it. The psyche. Point number 1. Okay, so the psyche. What is this? This is a term that I feel like is used a lot, and it comes up quite a bit because there are several symbols that are specifically related to your psyche. And so when we're talking about the psyche is a lot more than just the mind, right? Some people will use, like, for example, if you dream about a house, it's an image for your psyche. The house is a representation. It's a metaphor for your psyche. Now, some people will interchange and use the word mind instead of using the word psyche, but mind doesn't really get the full picture. Mind and that term doesn't encapsulate everything that we need to when we're talking about the psyche, because that symbol of the house is more than just your brain. It's more than just your mind. And so when we say psyche, it's really a fusion between the mind and a little bit extra. Now, some people would call that spirituality, and I'm okay with that. I think spirituality is fine, but only if we define what we mean by spirituality. Spirituality is meaning and purpose. So there's the mind combined with meaning and purpose. This is your grand narrative. This is really your persona, your personality, your identity, right? When we think about your mind, your brain, we're thinking about brain waves, gray matter, white matter, neurons, synapses, connections. We usually don't think about personality and identity. We don't think about meaning and purpose. We don't think about like your grand narrative of your story as a human being. So I don't use the word mind in place of psyche. I use psyche because it combines those 2 ideas. So it's a more complete and full picture. Now, in order to understand dreams, we have to understand the psyche, right? Now, the psyche, right, is this part, this more emotional, this deeper part of you that is very different. It can be connected to, but I want to make a distinction between the analytical and the unconscious mind. Now, you've heard me say it many times before, but the analytical mind would be specifically your prefrontal cortex. Again, this is what does the analyzing. This is the executive functioning part of your brain. This is the part of your brain that makes all of your decisions. It does your logical thinking. It's the one that reasons and rationalizes everything. It's also the one that's responsible for your self-criticism, your repression, your avoidance, right? Those judgmental thoughts, those are very much going to live inside of your analytical mind, the critical part of your mind. Now, that part of your mind is very direct. It's very accurate. It's very acute. We kind of think about it like a surgeon's scalpel, right? Now, if you're going to go, hacking through the forest, right, or the jungles in the Amazon, you're not going to want a scalpel. It's not going to be a very good tool for you. If you're going to chop down a tree, you want an axe, not a scalpel, because an axe is a much more broad, much more blunt. It can be sharp still, but it's a bigger, heftier, meatier tool. A scalpel is very precise. You're not going to be able to do the same precision work with an axe as you would with a scalpel. Anybody who wants to argue with me is just arguing semantics about that, right? You're getting lost in the sauce on that one. A scalpel is a very precise instrument. The analytical mind is also a precise instrument. It is going to help you make decisions, cut through things. The axe is going to be the unconscious mind. It's going to help you blaze a general path. It's not going to be as precise, but the unconscious mind stores a lot more. And there's nothing spiritual, there's nothing religious about the unconscious mind. I mean, some people use religious and spiritual interpretations to communicate stuff about the unconscious mind. But the unconscious mind is just everything besides your critical analytical mind. It includes your hippocampus, your memories. It includes your amygdala, fight or flight response and emotional processing. It includes your corpus callosum, the combination and the connection between two hemispheres of your brain. It includes your brainstem, right? The unconscious mind. That's all your basic functioning, right? Your heartbeat, your breathing, all of these things. So analytical and unconscious mind. When we dream, you are using and connecting and processing in your unconscious mind. The analytical mind turns off, right? It goes to sleep. It's not trying to do its job anymore. You have absorbed information from your day, and now you're trying to make sense, trying to make meaning. There's the spirituality, right? There's the deeper identity. There's the grand narrative. I absorbed all this data by going throughout my day, by having these experiences, and now I got to figure out what to do with those experiences, how to make sense of them. That's the process of your unconscious mind and the process of sleep. Now, the consequence of that memory, emotion, and experiential consolidation, the result of that, the byproduct of that, are your dreams. So you can get some direct insights into how your mind, your unconscious mind, is chewing on that experience from your day by observing the dreams, right? So it's like, when you have a chemical reaction, you see if it lights on fire, it changes color. That's the byproduct of it. So you can tell, oh, this and that may be happening. This and that is going on. You write it down, and it's like science, right? I mean, this is a science we're doing here. So that's it. That's important to understand, right? Let me check, make sure I got that. Now, Sigmund Freud actually is quoted as saying about the unconscious mind that the interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. And he goes on to say some things about our projections and our sublimations in the unconscious mind. But Sigmund Freud was definitely not the first. And actually his book, The Interpretation of Dreams, the whole beginning chapters actually does a very good recap of all the dream data, all the research and the understanding about dreams up until that point in history, right? So a lot of people say that Freud stole all of his stuff, and maybe to some extent he did, but in the beginning of his book, he gave credit where credit was due. He talked about this person and that person. These are the people I'm reading and studying. And so he did give credit in the beginning, but he was quoted as saying that it's the royal road to the unconscious, which I very much agree with. You get direct insight without the persuasion, sublimation, the confusion that your analytical mind will get in the way of what's actually going on down below. So now, great, we understand brain anatomy. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's understand emotional anatomy. When we're talking about dreams, there's two things you need to pay attention to. Two very important things: archetypes and epics. Now, you can see that's like my little subheading, the psyche, archetypes and epics. When we talk about archetypes, we're talking about characters, right? The unconscious mind is going to have to encode information, right? You got to store that data in your brain somewhere. You got to make sense of it. And it stores them in archetypes and epics. These are characters and stories. Archetypes equals characters, epics equals stories. Now, they're a little bit grander terms, and I like archetypes and epics a little bit better because I think it, again, like the psyche, instead of using the word mind, I think it has a greater explanation. It holds more data than just characters and stories. anytime that you're going through life and experiencing something, in order to make sense of that for your emotional processing and your personal experience, you have to integrate that data into a story. You have to make sense of your relationship experiences with other people by understanding their character. What character are they playing? What character are you playing? Now, inside of us, right? This is important to understand and it's fundamental to dream interpretation. Inside of you, inside of me, are all the characters. Each one of us has all of the archetypes. And this is very much from, kind of the protege of Sigmund Freud. And then they became very conflicted with one another. They had differing opinions about psychology. Carl Jung. Carl Jung was, studied and really looked up to Freud, and then they split. And Carl Jung talked a lot about archetypes, and he wrote about the anatomy of the psyche. You can Google that and look up kind of his theories and stuff. But a lot of the dream interpretation that really is profound and does a good job in the world today comes from this anatomy of the psyche, comes from our understanding of archetypes. What are these different characters? And again, you are all characters. So when we get lost inside of dream interpretation sometimes, and when I see people making difficult, having difficulty with interpreting the dreams, it's because they forget that all the characters are them. They embody all characters. And so that scary thing that you may see in your dream is your difficulty connecting with that archetype inside of you. And this is where we get those running away dreams, those avoidance dreams, those scary dreams, monster dreams, all kinds of stuff like that, right? And so until we really learn how to connect with our own archetypes, we're gonna really struggle. Those archetypes, last point on the slide, those archetypes are all encapsulated inside of the epics, inside of the story, right? And so remember, inside of me and inside of you live all the characters, all the archetypes, but my epic is the story of my life. So right now I'm playing the archetype of the teacher, right? Maybe even a little bit of the mother archetype. I'm mothering and caring for the students and those people watching as I go through. As I leave this, once this session is over, I'll go play the father archetype to my son because I get ready for bed, right? I'll go play the husband archetype to hi mom. I'll go play the husband archetype to my wife, right? I'll go play the child archetype as I watch a old movie, right? That I used to watch when I was a kid, and so I'll connect with my inner child and stuff like that too. So hope that all kind of makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my attention over to the questions here. Yes, you may call me mommy. That's fine. Okay. Good question here. Let's see. Oh, I haven't read it. It may not be a good question, but I'm sure it is. What happens when you have a fractured psyche then? So there could be a couple ways that the psyche fractures, right? But the fracturing of the psyche is actually a splitting off. So the thing that I think about most is like with DID, right? Dissociative identity disorder, or multiple personalities, or maybe even schizophrenia, right? Where the psyche becomes fractured. It actually creates a whole nother psyche of its own, right? And so that character usually becomes a very extreme character and will have its own experiences, right? Will have its own archetypes and narrative inside of it. And so the problem is I have one body, but two narratives. And so that becomes problematic for someone with multiple personalities, right? Or someone with schizophrenia, right? I'm not directly connected with my archetypes. I'm hearing voices, I'm seeing things. And so instead of being able to fully embody and experience those archetypes, those characters that are inside of me, they seem disparate. They seem disconnected from who I am. And so I struggle to connect with them. Does that kind of clarify? Dude, what? I would have thought all that shit people talk to you would go on the unconscious. I thought that's why it's kind of harder to heal from. Unconscious stuff. Well, they influence one another, right? Yeah, I'm maybe not totally understanding the question, but the unconscious will influence the way that the analytical mind behaves, and the analytical mind will influence the way that the conscious behaves. So they're a team, right? And so it's not, the unconscious mind is bigger and probably in some ways more important because the analytical mind is a new development for human evolution, right? Animals have an unconscious mind. They don't have an analytical mind. Humans have an analytical mind. We are the ones who have this type of consciousness. The prefrontal cortex is a new development for human beings. We're one of We're one of the only species that we know of that has the analytical capacity at this level. And so that's, they influence one another. They're friends. They're friends. All right, there's a question being typed out, and then we'll go back. Let's get back to this. Okay, because you said all that stuff was analytical, but I feel like if you were analyzing people saying stuff to you, then you wouldn't logically internalize it. Ah, yes. Okay. So then I'm kind of on the right track. They're friends, they're buddies, right? And so imagine one is the professor. Well, let's do it this way. One is the surgeon, and the surgeon would be the analytical mind, and the other one would be like the philosopher, right? Or maybe the priest, right? The surgeon, yeah, let's do that. The surgeon and like the professor in school. The surgeon is going to do the same job every day, same way. I do brain surgery. And all I do is this specific type of brain surgery. I go in, I do my job, I get out. Precise, on time, analytical, exact. That's the conscious mind. Now the professor, right? Maybe the medical professor in school, he's not doing the surgery. He's not trying to be precise or analytical. He's coming up with new theories, new ideas, new stories, new characters, new ways to do things. He's philosophizing about, well, maybe we could try and do it this way, and maybe that would be better. Maybe we could do it this way, and that would be better. The surgeon in this extreme scenario about this, right? The surgeon is doing the same thing all the time. It's analyzing. Now, that surgeon will give the data to the professor, the philosopher in school, and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And it'll be like, well, maybe we could do it this way. Maybe we could do it that way. And from these new ideas, it may change the way that we're analyzing and doing the surgery. So they're friends, they're buddies, right? But they have very different ways of interacting with the world. And so that's what I'm getting to. So the way that I'm analyzing with my conscious mind is influenced by my grand narrative. But based on my analysis, based on the things that I'm experiencing in a very concrete and exact way, I'm going to influence and change my narrative. And so they're buddies back and forth. And so this is why we can have some confusion. This is why we can struggle to really understand where a problem is coming from. Is it analysis or is it unconscious? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So we can be more than one archetype at a time. Yes. And Jung would say that we are all archetypes all the time. We just may be connecting with and exemplifying one more than the others in a given moment. But we have the capacity for all, and we are all. And you see this the most in babies, in children. They don't, they can be the villain, they can be the hero, they can be a child, they can act like an adult, and they switch between these archetypes very quickly. As we develop our conscious mind, we settle into a routine. This is the way I'm supposed to be. This is my story. This is how I fit into society. This is why middle schoolers will change, their appearance, and they'll change their friend groups all the time, right? This is why relationships in middle school and high school don't last too long, because you're switching characters, you're switching archetypes all the time. It's just as we get older, we settle into one character. And so there can be some big problems due to a lack of flexibility as we settle into these characters, and our dreams will show us that problem. So, okay, very nice. Very good questions. Very good questions. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I don't mind at all. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Okay, let's see. Did I already disorganize my notes? Oh, no, I did not. I did not. So, when you're interpreting dreams, it is absolutely crucial that you understand there are two levels. There are two levels. Listen, I got it. I've got my notes figured out. Y'all are silly. There are two levels of dreams. And this is all dreams all the time have two levels. And it's important to understand this because this is probably number one misunderstanding, misinterpretation, area for error is this, the two levels of dreams. Every dream, and this is borrowing Freudian terminology, has manifest and latent content. The literal meaning of a dream, when a dream is analyzed and we're understanding its literal meaning, that is the manifest content. So, for example, I go about my day, I go to bed, and I dream about my boyfriend cheating on me. Well, the literal meaning, right, is I'm not doing so well with my boyfriend right now. He's in a conflict with me. I don't feel super safe, and comfortable with him. And so there's some emotional and relational turmoil. And then I dreamed about him cheating on me, right? That's literal. That's literally going on. And so it makes sense that the brain would dream about that. Another example would be if I'm a runner, right? A marathon runner. I go to bed, I dream about running a marathon. That's literal. That's a huge part of my life. That's something I'm training for. That's something that's on my mind. I want to be a better runner, right? Literal. This is where you'll see the misinterpretations, though, because people will take the symbolic meaning and take it for literal, right? So, latent content. Latent content is symbolic meaning. In that same dream where my boyfriend cheated on me, well, he didn't actually cheat on me. And the latent content of that dream is the conflict I may be experiencing in this made up scenario. The conflict I may be experiencing in this scenario is I don't actually feel very pretty. I don't actually feel very worthy. I don't actually feel like I'm worthy of being loved. I struggle to accept that unconditional love and care. And so I'm dreaming about my boyfriend cheating on me. That's the personal symbolic meaning. The cheating boyfriend is a representation of how I cheat on myself by not allowing myself to be loved, right? By not feeling worthy of the love and acceptance. Now, the marathon runner example, literal meaning, marathon, but the deeper meaning is I've been practicing and working so hard to become a better marathon runner, and I'm running towards this goal, right? The marathon becomes a symbolic meaning for I want to win that gold medal in the Olympics, right? So you have to understand and analyze dreams on those two levels. And this is where you'll see death. Death's a huge one, right? Death, if you dream about death, it could have a literal meaning. Your relative may be sick, right? And so you dream about your grandma dying, right? Well, grandma may actually be sick. That's literal. However, there's a symbolic meaning to that too. If grandma is sick and unwell, it means that my relationship with grandma is going to change. And so there's a more metaphorical and symbolic death that happens there where I can't call grandma on the phone and ask her for advice about my relationships. I'm going to have to allow her to pass and then accept and incorporate her wisdom inside of me because she's taught me a bunch and I've learned a lot of things. But how do I incorporate that into my personal development? How do I learn to take a little piece of grandma and keep that with me because she's changed my life? That's really, really important. If you got any questions about that, please put that in there. This is symbology, though, right? Not emotionology. I'm not sure what those. Not sure. Are those words that I think I'm sure they are. I'm not super familiar with them, but the difference, symbols and emotions, they're the same. They're the same. I love that. I love that you made up those words. So, well, they're the same but different. If I want to express an emotion, if my unconscious mind wants to express an emotion, it's going to express it in a symbol, right? The problem is when I'm communicating in this format, right, without communicating through dreams, I have to take my emotional amygdala content, filter it through my analytical mind to form words, and then speak those words out my mouth. That's a 1, 2, 3-step process. In dreams, I can cut that out and I can just have the emotions. Those emotions are communicated through symbols, right? So symbology and emotionology, symbols are the language of emotions, the raw language of emotions. We speak in symbols. Before we learned how to speak as human beings, we drew on cave walls. We told stories before we learned how to write down analytical scientific information. The scientific method is a recent invention in the history of mankind, right? Before we had the scientific method and analysis, before we developed our prefrontal cortex, we spoke in symbols and stories. That's what I'm talking about here. So now, these two levels really coordinate and correlate with waking life processing, right? I want to run that marathon. I'm having trouble with my boyfriend versus personal development. How do I achieve the goals I've set for my life? How do I learn not to cheat on myself in the relationship and accept that love? How do I, waking life process, grieve my grandma's death, but also how do I accept death as a symbol for change and change to become a greater person than I was before by incorporating the memory, the wisdom, and the life story of my grandmother? Always two levels. And this is probably the biggest mistake that I see people have when they try and interpret dreams. Yeah. I do think I know what they mean. Yeah. Okay. Because I thought you said emotions in dreams and such were literal. Now, yes, if somebody, and that's why I say focus on the emotional content in the dream, right? So like, I may have a dream about, drowning, but in the dream, I feel good about drowning. Well, that shows me that this drowning in the dream has latent meaning, because I wouldn't literally feel good about drowning. That's going to be bad. That's not going to be great. That's not a great waking life experience. But if I'm feeling good and I feel at peace as I'm drowning in a dream, it's a trigger to me, right? That pay attention to the emotion. The emotion's guiding you to the correct interpretation. The emotion is I'm at peace with my emotions. The water being a symbol for emotion. The death of you inside of your emotions means I'm letting go. I'm releasing myself into my emotional abyss, and that's something I want for my life. So yeah, good questions. You guys are great. Man, I love this. Okay. Whew, we made it through the psyche. We made it through the 2 levels. Now we're compounding it. We're going to the 4 types. And this is probably got to be one of my favorite. This is probably the most straightforward, the most honest, the most really simple way to think about these. There are 4 types of dreams. Unconscious intent. Now, these 4 types of dreams are going to be understood. Yeah, unconscious mind, hidden agenda. Facts. And that's why we have to learn how to figure out these dreams and what they mean. Good comment. Okay, so unconscious intent. When we're looking at a dream, I will be looking for, is this literal or is this figurative? And then I'm going to go a little bit deeper, right? And I may do the 4 types before I get to the two types, right? Yeah, I may do the 4 before I do the 2, or I may do the 2 before I do the 4. It doesn't matter. You need to do both. The 4 types are unconscious intent. What is your mind? What is your dream trying to accomplish by giving you this story, by giving you this image? Now, there's 4 types of things we can do. Wish fulfillment, venting, physical dreams, and insight dreams. Let's start with the first one. Wish fulfillment is, this is something I want. Now, up until the end of kind of Freud's era, he believed that all dreams were wish fulfillment. And he's got a point there, and I'm going to explain this. He believed there were no 4 types. There was one type, wish fulfillment. And that was the only type of dream that you could have. But we've kind of come to understand that there's some nuance to that we need to go into. A very simple wish fulfillment dream, and you'll know a wish fulfillment dream because it'll be very positive, it'll be very happy, and it will be about something that the person wants. You'll see this the most often in children. Kid goes to bed, you didn't give him ice cream or her ice cream. I have a son, so I say him when I think of kids now. But you go to bed, you didn't give the kid ice cream before they went to bed, and so they go to bed, and what do they dream about? Ice cream, right? Kid sees a commercial for Disney World, right? They want to go to Disney World, so what do they dream about when they go to bed? Disney World. Why? Because they want that. It's a wish, right? And Disney really probably said it best, a dream is a wish that your heart makes. Makes sense. Now, Freud said that even the nightmares were wish fulfillment. What did he mean by that? Well, I'm very glad you asked. The reason he said that all dreams, even nightmares, were wish fulfillment was he understood correctly that the unconscious mind, that back part of your brain, doesn't work in negatives, right? So your dreams will never work, and this is important. I mean, if you're taking notes, write this one down. Your dreams will never work in a negative. It will never not want something. Your dreams always want something. A great example of this is in language, right? What's a good example here? Did I write one down? No, I didn't. Okay, a good example of this would be, I want to be happy. Your dreams will not say, I don't want to be sad. That's a negative, you see? Your dreams will say, I want to feel confident. Your dreams will never say, I don't want to be anxious, right? So when you see like being chased in a dream or some negative thing in a dream, it's your mind saying, hey, there's an issue here. I want to move towards this issue to figure it out, right? So this is where Freud developed his understanding of dreams. The cute kitty cat with the ice cream cone. That's great. Yes, it's wish fulfillment, right? Freud believed, and it's just a basic premise of the unconscious mind, that it doesn't work in negatives. Actually, you can pay attention to this. This is a little hypnotherapy secret from your resident hypnotherapist, Jesse Lyon. Anytime someone is speaking in negatives, they're operating from their analytical prefrontal cortex brain, right? Negatives don't make sense to the unconscious mind. It always speaks in, I want this, I want that, I want this, right? Or now it will say, I want to be away from X, right? If I'm experiencing a pain, right, in my life, maybe I don't know, maybe the pain is my job, right? I hate my job. It causes me emotional pain. My dream will show me the pain of my job, saying we need to confront this pain. I want to be away from the pain. I want to run away, right? And so it's the want is run away. It's not I want to not be at my job. You see how there's that negative there. It's a very small distinction, but it's important to understand when it comes to dreams. And this is where Freud understood his idea of dream interpretation. He thought it was all wish fulfillment. Okay. Number 2. Let's see. Other questions about that. Let's see. This is why don't do that doesn't work. Yes. If you tell somebody to don't do something, right? Don't think about a pink elephant. Don't be an asshole to your, to your friends. If I tell you to don't do something, especially with kids, because their prefrontal cortex isn't developed, don't touch that. What are they going to do? They're going to touch it. Not because they're trying to be jerks. I mean, maybe, but typically not because they're trying to be jerks, but just because their brains don't have the capacity to understand that negative. In order to understand a negative, you have to first think about the negative thing, which automatically draws you toward it. So it's just it's a non-intuitive way of operating, of working with your thoughts. Now, venting. Okay, let's get to venting. Good questions. That's why all the DARE kids tried drugs. Yes. Oh, great examples, you guys. Yeah. They're going to say why as they touch it. Yes. Why don't touch it as they touch it? Not because they're trying to be mean, but that's just the way the brain works. So wish fulfillment. It's always, the brain and dreams are always moving toward something, right? It never works in knots. See what I did there? Venting. Now, as we've come to understand dreams a little bit better since the time of Freud, we understand that the second type of dream is a venting dream. Now, when you have a lot of emotions, a very intense emotional day, any unprocessed emotions that you may have experienced, anything that you didn't have time to work through while you were awake is going to be on your dreams to process while you sleep, venting and releasing any of these unprocessed emotions. So if you go to bed anxious, you're going to have anxiety dreams. It's a venting type of scenario. If you go to bed sad and depressed, you're going to have sad, depressing dreams, venting scenario. If you have conflict with your mother and you don't know why, and you don't know what to do about it, you're going to have a dream about that because your mind is trying to vent that unprocessed emotion. Now, these are all the nightmares. So it's very easy to tell a difference. Wish fulfillment, happy, positive, love, skippy dippy, yippee yahoo. Venting, nightmares, bad, too much emotion, trying to release it, trying to let it go. And this is where the nightmares come from. Your mind is trying to do you a favor by letting go of those very intense emotions through the process of dreaming. And there's good science to back this up, that it does work that way. Now, the problem is with things like very intense trauma, very intense anxiety, clinical depression, it's more than your dream can really deal with while you sleep. It's too much to process in a night. And so you'll have repeated dreams. You'll have these reoccurring nightmares because it's more venting than it needs, or it gets stuck and it needs the help of a dream therapist or a mental health counselor to help find a new avenue to totally release it. It's trapped. It's like water stuck in your ear. It starts to get nasty and it can get infected and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? It's like emotions can get infected. That venting is blocked, is stifled, and so it gets trapped. Okay, number three. Oh, okay. Everyone's posting fire memes. Don't set things on fire. You guys are great. Ashley says, whew, that makes so much sense. Venting in your sleep because you don't deal with it in your waking life. Yes. And I would say that is, even though I put it as number 2 for the 4 types, it's probably the number 1 dream question that I get asked. And so if your friends are asking you questions about their dreams, it's probably a venting dream. And so you can kind of have a leg up on them just by telling them and giving them that information. Okay. Physical dreams. What are physical dreams? Physical dreams are all about our body's sensations being interpreted while we sleep. So these are very straightforward, and you'll know these because they won't have much of a story to them. Wish fulfillment and venting dreams have a big story tied around them. It's usually some kind of narrative that goes on. Physical dreams don't have a story. I fell from a building and I hit the ground. Well, what was happening? How did you get on top of the building? I don't know. What happened after you hit the ground? I don't know. Why were you there? I don't know. That's a physical dream. It was a very strong sensation when you hit the ground. It's a very strong sensation of falling. Yeah, but why? I don't know. That's a physical dream. And usually, specifically for falling dreams, it's a blood sugar drop. There's some kind of like hypoglycemia or some kind of blood sugar problem going on during sleep. Maybe they're pre-diabetic, something like that. Had too much sugar, too many carbs. We all love that pasta, cheeses, chocolates before we go to sleep. They'll give you some crazy, wacky dreams. That's a physical dream. There's some great ones. I'm just going to read a couple here for you that I wrote down to mention. Suffocation and drowning. Those type of dreams without a story, huge indicator of sleep apnea, breathing problems, right? Fever dreams. Anytime that, some weird symbolism and stuff will happen, your brain is being cooked because you're literally hotter than you're supposed to be. Your brain is hot. And so you'll have these weird, wild, wacky dreams that feel icky. Well, because you're having a fever dream. There's actually a great story about somebody who dreamed that they were in the French Revolution and that they got beheaded by a guillotine. Well, they wake up to find that the headboard had actually fallen on their neck. And so they had a very strong physical sensation of their head being chopped off because the headboard fell. And so the brain, what it's trying to do is instead of waking you up from sleep, it knows how important sleep is for you. And so it tries to incorporate, if it deems that it's not so important that you need to wake up, it's threatening, it's trying to incorporate those physical sensations into the dream. So that way you're like, oh, this is just a dream. This is fine. And you don't wake up because it knows how important sleep is, right? Now, someone said, that sounds like a story to me. A story will have a beginning, middle, end, right? And so if I'm falling from a building, it didn't have a beginning. How did I get there? And it didn't have an end. What happened after, right? If I'm drowning, it didn't have a beginning, middle, and end. Who pushed you in? How did you get in? How did you fall in? Doesn't have a beginning. It's just me drowning. And then what happened after you drowned? Did somebody save you? Was somebody there? Did you become a ghost? That would have an ending. So you can tell because stories have beginning, middle, end. There's progression. There's character development here. Drowning, falling, fever dreams, they don't have a storyline. So you can tell pretty quickly they're physical. And most times, the research actually says every time, but I've got a hunch that intense emotions can kind of overcome this. But the research would say that anytime you experience actual pain in a dream, it's actually a physical type of dream. Yeah. Why isn't drowning, it's a question. Why isn't drowning a self-contained story? Like I get the literally not breathing thing, but also that one is famous for emotions interpretation. You're not dead enough yet to stay asleep. Yeah. Yeah. That's what your brain's trying to do. So why is drowning not a self-contained story? If drowning is a part of a narrative, it's emotional, right? But if drowning is very physical and you actually feel that feeling of suffocating, it's really about feelings. You can interpret that and rest pretty assured that that's a physical dream. Dude, none of my dreams have distinct chunks like that. Then a lot of your dreams may be very much physically related. Now, some people have very like snapshot type dreams, right? But they're not accompanied by a strong physical sensation. And so some people do have snapshot dreams. I tend to have more snapshot dreams. There's still emotional development in the dream, but it's not the same grand, expansive, epic narrative that some people do have. And so there are subtle differences. And so working with dreams, you kind of learn to tell the little differences between them. Okay, last one. Keep the questions coming if you got some more. Insight dreams. The last one is insight dreams. Now, insight dreams happen when after absorbing all this information from your day, your mind starts to put together predictions about what's going to happen next, right? And so maybe you saw two people gossiping in the corner in the office while you're giving a presentation, and then you have a dream about them getting fired. And it's like, oh, well, you may not have been aware of the subtle body cues or the way that they were behaving, right? You may not have been consciously aware, but your unconscious mind was. And so it's processing that data that it absorbed and saying, they're probably in trouble with their boss because of the way they were squirming in their chair. They're probably going to get fired soon. You'll see this with doctors, right? Doctors will have dreams about their patients predicting the gender of a baby. Doctors have seen so many pregnancies, so many babies. They're able to have a pretty good sense about these things, and they're picking up on unconscious data. How high is the mother carrying? How is she walking? How is she behaving? Are there changes in her hormone levels that I'm picking up by smell, by sight, by touch, by the acne on her skin, right? And so they'll be able to make these accurate predictions. Some really crazy insight dreams are there have been a couple documented cases, few, of people who can predict earthquakes because their body, their unconscious mind, is picking up on shifts in the Earth's crust. Kind of like birds know to fly away before a storm comes. People can do that too. It's just some people have it really good. They can really understand these things, and it will often come out in their dreams. They'll have earthquake dreams, predicting an earthquake's going to come within the next day or so. And it's actually pretty crazy cool. Now, another flavor of insight dream is, again, putting together data. You'll see like a huge one. I always quote him, Charlie Puth on TikTok will always make these videos about, oh, I heard this riff, I heard this melody in a dream, right? And I wrote it down. I'm going to make a song about it. Well, while Charlie Puth is sleeping, his mind is processing all of this musical creation he's been doing through the day, and it comes up with a new idea. Many of our greatest inventions, Google, the light bulb, Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, they talk about how all of these were dreamed about. Our understanding of the carbon ring, which was a huge chemical and chemistry mystery about how carbon atoms form a ring. They didn't know how these carbon atoms form together. And so the person who understood the carbon ring actually dreamed about a snake eating its tail. And that's how he discovered, oh, the carbon atoms form together because they make a ring. He couldn't figure it out until the dream. Mind putting together details. And so that's the 4 types of dreams. Now you can tell insight dreams because you come away with an aha moment, a new idea, right? That's what's great about them. All right, well, let's get back to these questions here. Okay. Wait. Though, if your nervous system is always fried, then do emotional dreams become physical dreams then? Julie, no worries. It will be this course will be uploaded to the website, so you can watch the rest of it later. We're down to the last slide. We just got techniques. But yeah, definitely check it out. Watch it later. Have a great day at work. Okay. Emotional dreams become physical dreams then? Yes, it can. Imagine if your anxiety is so intense that it causes you to have difficulty breathing, right? You have a panic attack, and so you have difficulty breathing. You would have a physical dream, but it would kind of be a dual dream in that kind of situation. I'm drowning, right? And I can't breathe, but the drowning is also symbolic for being overwhelmed by my emotions, the water. So yes, you can have a little bit of hybrid in there. And sometimes dreams will switch back and forth. I'll have a couple dreams during the night. One was venting and one was wish, right? So yes, good questions. They can be combined in that way. All right, let's get to the most requested part. That's not really true, but we'll get to some of the literal actual techniques that you can start to use right away. This is a fun one. Okay, become the expert. Techniques. If you're going to work with dreams, you have to remember your dreams. Because if you're not remembering your dreams, how are you going to work with them? It sounds simple, but a lot of people skip over this part, right? If you want a lucid dream, if you want emotional insight, if you want depth in understanding yourself, you gotta remember them to begin with. If you're not remembering your dreams, you're not going to be able to work with them. So a lot of people say, I don't dream. That's not true. The research is very conclusive. Everybody dreams all the time. In fact, several times throughout the night and in all phases of sleep. We're learning more and more that dreams are a pervasive, overwhelming, abundant part of sleep. Journaling is the best way to get them back. Now you're saying, but Jesse, how do I journal about my dreams if I don't remember them? I do have the journal template thingy. I'll have to, it should be downloadable PDF on the website too. I'll check. That's a great little shout out, by the way. There is a journal template. Those who are subscribers should get the free journal template. It should be on the website. If I haven't found it or you didn't get it automatically, I'll send it to everybody. I'll put it in the link here. But yes, good to know. Use the journal. It's a great way to break it down. And actually, these other points, which way is it that I'm going to talk about? These are the points I'm going to talk about directly relate to some of the prompts inside the journal. So what do you do though? I'm not remembering my dreams. How am I going to journal them? That's fine. Getting in the process of journaling, getting into that habit of every morning I write something down is the best way to start remembering them. So if you wake up and you didn't dream anything, think about yourself. How did you feel? Right? Did you feel happy when you woke up? Sad, tired, anxious, nervous? Write that down. I don't remember any visual imagery. Woke up feeling tired. Woke up feeling stressed. Good. That's a dream. That's great. A dream is anything remembered from sleep. So let's say that you don't remember anything from sleep. Dreamed darkness. It was black, right? That's great. Get your pen out, write it down. Best if you use a pen and paper, honestly. The blue light from the phone can kind of wake you up a little bit faster than you want to. Pen and paper is great. It's very tactile. It's very physical. So it's like last night I dreamed darkness. I dreamed the back of my eyelids. Great. I feel tired. I feel happy. I feel sad. Great. Put it in, mark the date, and mark the date for the day that you wake up. That's important. Mark the date for the day that you wake up. But getting into that practice of journaling, huge. Now, number 2, techniques. Verbal communication. Anytime that you're having a dream, one of the best ways that you can learn to work through it, right? Yeah. Oh, so good questions. I want to get to that. One of the best ways to work through it is to communicate it, right? Because by taking that information from here, prefrontal cortex, out your mouth, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, this data is important. It's important enough to bring from my emotional processing into my prefrontal cortex to analyze it, to communicate it out. So call your friend, call your parents, call me. I don't know, put it in the Discord chat. By writing it down, by communicating it verbally, you are prioritizing and telling your brain, hey, this data is important. We need to remember this. And that will help you remember your dreams. And by doing this process, it starts to integrate front to back. Well, back to front. The emotion stuff, the dream stuff gets put into and gets analyzed by your analytical conscious mind. That is huge. A lot of people will suddenly realize the meaning of their dream just through the process of communicating that dream verbally to another human being. And so that's one of the easiest ways. And people all the time will come and tell me a dream. They'll sit down in my chair and they'll be like, oh, I get it now. We're like, you get what? Because we didn't even get through the whole thing. They're like, oh no, I got it. Because it was the process of taking that data and putting it through your conscious mind, analyzes it for itself. So let's start easy here. Let's just get some of the easy ones out of the way. Journal and communicate verbally. Now, let's say that you did both of those and you're still stuck. I don't know what this dream means. Well, that's okay. Here's some other techniques. But let's pause. Let's see if there's any questions about this. Writing, someone says writing is faster too, I feel, than typing if I'm not trying to lose the memory. Yes, I do too. I will often kind of do a hybrid technique, right? I use the talk text or the speech to text on my phone. So I'll open up my notes app, right? And my notes app is totally dark, right? So it's not bright lights. I'll push the microphone button and I'll talk into my phone and it'll write it down. Cause most phones do that. Any phone really does that now. And so I'm kind of killing 2 birds, 1 stone there, journaling and verbal communicating at the same time. I'm just talking to the little magical square that we all have in our pockets. Someone says, Ashley says, if you wake up during the night and remember your dream, should you document the time as well or just the dream? If you want a little bit of extra, yeah, document the time. Venting dreams are more common to happen in the early morning venting dreams. REM dreams will happen really in the dead of night, right? So like maybe 4, 5, 6 a.m., depending on when you wake up, you'll have those venting dreams, usually the most. That's why they wake us up, those nightmares. REM dreams will happen like 1 or 2 in the morning, depending on when you go to bed. That may be when you go to bed is 1 or 2. So obviously it'll happen a little later, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, if you can, and if they wake you up, document the time. That's great. Good question. Raylan says, dude, what's funny is I kind of know that I'm always having a dream around 6 from looking at the time, no matter when I went to sleep. That's interesting. Yeah. Your circadian rhythm's really kind of dictating something there. I love that. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 here that I'm going to teach you. So you journaled, you talked it out. You still don't know what it means. Best thing to do when you journal, write down the nouns and the verbs, right? Go through each of those nouns and free associate. And what I mean by free associate is, okay, give an example dream, right? I had a dream. I had a dream that my boyfriend cheated on me. Let's go to that one, right? Okay. Let me slow down. Let me think about my boyfriend. What are the first 3 to 5 things? Really go for 5 if you can. What are the first 5 things that I think about my boyfriend? Now, I don't have a boyfriend, right? I've got a wife. But if I had a boyfriend, I think he's handsome, he's funny, he's charming, he's messy, he's annoying. Oh, okay. Well, the first 3 were the things that I know I should think about him. And the last 2 were how I actually feel about him. And so usually on the 3rd to the 5th one, we'll get to the real free association about what that symbol inside of your dream means for you. And so, I broke up, my boyfriend cheated on me. Oh, maybe it's not actually about my feelings of not being loved. Maybe it's actually my feelings about I put up with too much mess from this asshole, right? I put up with too much shit from this guy. He's always messy. He's always mucking up my life. I got to keep myself organized so I can be ready for his just tomfoolery. Well, my boyfriend's cheating on me has maybe a lot to do with I wish he would find someone else to make a mess out of their life instead of mine. Oh, you see how free association kind of gets us through that, right? So just try and talk about the top things that come to your mind when you think of it. When I think about fire, what do I think about fire? I think about heat. I think about food. I think about destruction. Oh, okay. So if I'm seeing fire in my dream, for me, it might mean I'm warm in the bed, right? Might be a physical dream. Food, I might be hungry. Or, latent content, emotional content. That fire in my dream is about destruction. What destruction is coming in my life? What self-destruction, what anger, what rage is maybe causing a commotion in my life? Free association helps kind of navigate through some of these things. And I'll do this with clients all the time. Imagery, play the character. What do I mean when I play the character? If you're still stuck, right? Boyfriend cheated on me. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. I don't have an aha moment. The light bulb's not going off for, yes, that's what my dream means. Well, okay, let's go through it. Let's play the character. Imagine that you're your boyfriend. Why would you cheat on you? Well, I'm not very attractive. Oh. Why? Keep going. What would your boyfriend feel if he cheated on you? Well, he would feel guilty, but he would also feel happy that he has someone who's beautiful to make love to. Oh. Well, you see, now we're getting somewhere, right? By playing and by imagining yourself and imagining the motives and really fleshing out the character. It's kind of an acting technique, to be honest. By fleshing out that character in the dream, you learn the unconscious intent, motivation, and emotion that character might be experiencing, right? So it's like, okay, so those were the things I thought about my boyfriend, right? Why he might cheat on me. So it shows for me, I don't feel very attractive. I feel like I'm holding my boyfriend back. And so I'm having a dream about him cheating on me because, well, I don't feel like I'm attractive enough, sexy enough, or exciting enough for him. And so it helps you kind of overcome and really get to that aha moment. And that's what we really want to do. Like, we want to get to the point in dream interpretation where somebody goes, oh, and you look, their eyes light up and they'll go like, oh, the light bulb goes off. Once the light bulb goes off, that's the interpretation. Don't overinterpret it. Don't go anymore. When the light bulb goes off, that's the message you needed to hear. And that's really what we're looking for as a dream therapist or even for yourself, right? Okay, let's look. Yeah, basically, you're right. Basically, you're Rorschaching yourself. Yes. But is that why free association is hard? The what we're supposed to think part? It can be very hard because sometimes our conscious and critical mind gets in the way. And so that's why sometimes some people have to do like 7 free associations, right? They're like, well, it means this, it means this, it means this. And you start to get to the deeper stuff by like usually 3, but sometimes people have to go to 7 depending on how critical their mind is. Yeah. Okay, last 2. Now these are more for therapy, right? Imagery rehearsal. Now, oftentimes when we have nightmares, it's very normal for us to avoid these nightmares. And so what happens? I say to that kid, don't touch the stove. They say, why? And they try and touch the stove. And you say, well, don't have that nightmare again. Well, what's the childlike part of your brain going to do? It's going to have the nightmare again. So by rehearsing the image, right? By going over it, drawing a picture, writing it down, singing a song, creating some kind of art around it, making a painting, talking about it over and over, different stories, changing the characters, right? Really working through it by rehearsing the imagery and changing parts of the story, really getting into the story of the dream. It helps to release that vented emotions. There are those emotions that haven't been vented appropriately. Those emotions that are trapped. Imagery rehearsal is, you can Google this and Google Scholar and all that, and it'll show some really wonderful benefits, especially for trauma with imagery rehearsal, really getting into the dream. The more avoidance you have, the more that those feelings become trapped. Avoidance happens here, right? It's the analysis, right? So that, well, and it can happen back there too, fight, flight, or freeze in the amygdala. But imagery rehearsal is definitely something I wanted to add as a technique, because through that imagery rehearsal, you start to discover things about yourself that you've been avoiding. You start to discover the real meaning of the dream that your mind maybe just didn't want to really admit. And then the last point, active imagination. And I kind of already alluded to this, but start to imagine, right? Start to play around with it. I had a dream about my boyfriend cheating on me. Let's go back to it, right? It's a good standard to go back to. Like, okay, what if you caught him cheating on you, right? And you were in the room and you saw it as it happened. What would you do, right? Okay, that's cool. That's what you would do. You would be like, oh, and run out of the room. What if you did something just crazy, right? What if you beat them both up? How would you feel? How would that be, right? Now, I'm not condoning violence or anything, but we're exploring previously unexplored parts of our emotional self, parts of our psyche that we haven't really understood by engaging in this active imagination. And again, it helps to massage and work out the emotions that may become trapped or may become problematic inside of the brain. And so this active imagination is very helpful. I often do this one. I say, okay, let's play the traumatic dream, the nightmare over again, but I want you to pick a different animal for each character in the story, right? So if your boyfriend was an animal, what would it be? Oh, it'd be a teddy bear. If you were an animal, what would you be? Oh, I'd be a lion because my name's Jesse Lion. The person they're cheating on you, who would they be? The snake, right? Okay, how would it look to have a snake having sex with a bear? Well, that would be weird, wouldn't it? That just doesn't seem right. How about a bear with a lion? Well, it's probably be tough, but it may be a little bit easier. And so this active imagination stuff, what it does is it starts to engage in a waking state with the unconscious mind in its own language. Because again, remember, your emotions and your unconscious speak in symbols. And so by engaging in active imagination like a child, children are very great at processing their emotions. They feel sad, they tell you. They feel mad, they throw things. There is no emotional repression. So by engaging in that imagination, the imagination of a child, it really can help reveal, process, and get out some stuff that maybe really struggled before. So, okay, nice job, you guys. Okay, any questions about this? This is great. All right, Raylan says, if your brain is being super selfish too, though, could your boyfriend cheating on you in your dream be like your own just feminine and masculine sides not being in harmony? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think by using some of these techniques, you would find out which is the correct interpretation. And that's why dream dictionaries, they may be helpful to get started and maybe give you some new ideas about your dream, but they're not a very great tool. They're not as good of a tool as working with a dream therapist or using these techniques that we talked about today. Another one from Raylan says, I meant more like people who don't know what they're supposed to think. Oh, sure. Well, no, free association for that type of person would be the best. That would be great. Don't let other people's conscious thoughts and judgment get in the way. That happens in here. Just allow the natural things that other people say you're not supposed to think to come out, because that will help you figure out what the dream actually means for you. There's no judgment in your dreams. It's just your honest internal feelings. It's not entirely clear to me that the last two are different things. Fair enough. They are very similar. One is rehearsing the dream as it is, going through it again and thinking about the pieces instead of avoiding. The other one is changing the dream. So one, imagery rehearsal, dream as it is, active imagination, changing the dream. So they're different in that way, but they are very similar. You're right. Children are proof that anger is not a secondary emotion. A conversation for a much different presentation. But I see your point. You've got it. You make a good point. Yeah, you said throw out the first two. Well, I mean, I don't know. If your brain's very connected with free association, if you're very connected with what this symbol means for you, you may get it right on the first two. I say do 3 to 5. just to cover your bases. Some people don't. In fact, most people don't get it in their first 2 free association. Now you could. Oh, I get what you're saying, right? Yes, you could if you are good at not caving to the pressures of the world. You might get it on your first 1 or 2 free associations. Yes, absolutely. And some people do. They know kind of right away. What does your boyfriend symbolize? Oh, insecurities. Oh, there you go. Or like, what does your mother symbolize? Judgment, right? Not saying that that's my case per se, just saying like some people know right away when you ask them. And so, yeah, you may not need to go through all of it. Yeah, you're looking at the set and you're looking at the set of free associated words and finding the one that feels right for the dream. Yeah, and so I say do 3 to 5 just to make sure you get a full set, because usually by the 5th one you come up with one of those 5 will be the correct interpretation. So, yeah, great questions, guys. This has been wonderful. Thank you. If you got any other last minute questions, I'm gonna wrap up here. Definitely went long, which is good for me to know because I'm trying to give this presentation, and this was definitely an hour. So maybe I will condense some things because you know me, I could be a bit long-winded. But thank you, everyone. I hope this was very helpful. If you got any follow-up questions, let me know. Be happy to help. But thanks, everyone. This has been really great. The transition back. Very cool. Very cool. I mean, it was an hour because I'm asking 10,000 questions. Well, fine with me. Fine with me. Maybe, maybe it will be a little bit shorter if I don't do questions all throughout. That actually may be helpful. Yeah, no, the questions you ask, I get a lot of questions throughout these presentations. Actually, you're very welcome. I'm so glad. This is great. This is great. I'm glad it's been very helpful. I will definitely be chopping this up, uploading it to the website so you can reference it anytime that you need to. Remember, as level 3 subscribers, you have access to all of the courses that I've done previously. They're all uploaded. And you can reference them. You can look through them. I'll make sure that you all get those journal PDFs too. Yeah. Oh yeah, we did chit chat at the beginning too. I'm allowed to ask. Yeah, you are absolutely allowed to ask all the questions. I tell them, oftentimes when I'm presenting, I tell them that they can ask questions throughout the presentation. But you've known me for a while. Everyone in this chat has known me for a while because you all are like level 3 subscribers. So you feel more comfortable asking me. Most people aren't used to asking questions through a presentation, like during a presentation. So sorry, I got distracted. So they usually don't. But because you know that I genuinely like that, I think a lot of you guys ask me questions throughout. Yeah, I know you do. I do. And I love that. That's great. That's great. All right, I'm going to stop this recording here. Okay, stop the recording. This is great. All right, well, I got to boogie on out of here, guys. This has been awesome. Thanks for letting me run through my PowerPoint and practice that. This has been good. Plus your squirrel brain, how could I wait till the end? You'd never know what I was asking about. 100% exactly. That's why. It's really more about me than it is anybody else. Thanks for practicing on us. Hey, thanks for being guinea pigs. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna log out. Just make sure there wasn't anything else. I'll still be in the chat, but it's time to put little man to bed. I'll catch y'all next time. I'll see you late night for Thursday. And yeah, catch y'all then. Have a great week. Later. Bye.